What if I told you that on a single date in history, an empire that would shape the modern world was born in blood? A battle that lasted less than 20 minutes created an entire nation. A man predicted the exact day he would die, and somehow he was right. And a woman who would outlive generations was born into a life she was never meant to lead. April 21, a day of power, destiny, and decisions that changed everything. And by the end of this video, one of these stories is going to stay with you. Stay with me, because history is not just something we remember, it is something we learn from or repeat. Let's begin at the very start of civilization as we know it. The year is 753 BC. There are no skyscrapers, no roads, no empire, just land, wild, untouched, silent. On the banks of a quiet river in central Italy, a man stands on a hill, looking out at the future. His name was Romulus, and on April 21, he made a decision to build something that did not yet exist, a city. He called it Rome. But this wasn't just the beginning of buildings and walls. This was the beginning of an idea, power, control, legacy. But before Rome could rise, something darker happened. Romulus was not alone. He had a brother, a twin. They had survived something almost impossible. As infants, they were abandoned, left to die. No protection, no family, no future. But somehow, they lived. Because according to legend, a wild wolf found them, and instead of tearing them apart, she protected them, fed them, raised them. Think about that for a second. Two human children kept alive by something wild, something untamed, almost as if nature itself refused to let them die. They grew up, stronger, hardened, driven. They returned and took back what was stolen from them. And then they decided to build a city of their own. But ambition has a cost. They argued over power, over control, over who would lead. It wasn't just a disagreement, it was a clash of destiny. And in one moment, everything changed. Romulus killed his brother. Not in war, not in self-defense, but over power. On the very day Rome was founded. That moment tells you everything. Rome was not built on peace, it was built on ambition, conflict, and the relentless will to rise above everyone else. And from that moment, it never stopped growing. From a small settlement to a kingdom, then a republic, and eventually an empire, one of the greatest the world has ever seen. Stretching across continents, controlling millions of lives, shaping law, language, architecture, religion. Even today, you are living in the shadow of Rome. Every legal system, every structured city, every road that leads somewhere traces back to that moment, April 21. Now, fast forward, more than 2,500 years later, the year is 1836. The setting is completely different. No ancient hills, no myths, just raw land and a fight for survival. Texas. At this moment, it does not exist as we know it. It is a battleground, a place of tension, a place where everything is about to be decided. The Texan army is exhausted. They've been retreating, running, losing hope. Their enemy, stronger, better equipped, led by a powerful and confident leader. Everything points to defeat. But then, April 21 arrives, and one man changes everything. Sam Houston. He looks at the situation, the odds, the fear in his men, and he makes a decision. No more running, no more waiting. Today, we fight. Think about that. 900 men, that's it, against a larger, more prepared army. Most leaders would hesitate, most would delay, most would wait for a better opportunity, but not him, because he saw something others didn't. The enemy was relaxed, unprepared, not expecting an attack, and in that single moment, Houston gave the order, attack.
What followed was chaos, speed, violence, and history being rewritten in real time. The Texan forces charged forward, shouting, fueled by anger, by loss, by everything they had endured. And in just 18 minutes, it was over. 18 minutes, that's all it took. Hundreds of enemy soldiers were killed, hundreds more captured, and the leader of that army? He tried to escape, but he was found, hiding, disguised, captured, and forced to surrender. That single moment, that one decision, created something new. Texas, a nation, born in less time than it takes to finish a workout. Let that sink in. History doesn't always take years. Sometimes it takes minutes. Now, this next story slows everything down because this one feels different. The year is 1910, and the story begins with a man, a thinker, a storyteller, someone who understood life in a way very few people ever do. His name was Mark Twain. You probably know his work, but what you might not know is how his story ends. Twain was born on a night when something rare happened. A comet appeared in the sky, Halley's Comet, a cosmic event that only happens once every 75 years. Most people would forget something like that, but not him. He remembered, and near the end of his life, he said something strange, something that sounded almost impossible. He said he came into this world with that comet, and he expected to leave it with it too. Now think about that. To say something like that, you either have to be joking, or you have to feel something deeper, something you can't explain. Years passed, his health declined, time moved forward, and then the comet returned. April 20th, 1910. The sky lit up again, just like it had when he was born. And then, one day later, April 21, he died, exactly as he said he would. Now, scientifically, it's a coincidence. There's no connection. But emotionally, it feels like something more, like his life was a story, and he chose the perfect ending. Now for the final story, and this one is about endurance, time, and responsibility. April 21, 1926. In London, a baby girl is born. Her name was Queen Elizabeth II. At that moment, there's nothing special about her position. She is not expected to rule, not expected to lead, just another member of a royal family. But history had other plans. A sudden shift, a decision made by someone else, changed everything. And just like that, her path was rewritten. She became next in line. And just at 25 years old, she became queen. Now imagine that. At an age where most people are still figuring out life, she was handed a nation. And not just a nation, a symbol, a responsibility that would last a lifetime. And she didn't step away. She didn't hesitate. She accepted it. And then she stayed. For 70 years, through wars, through change, through generations rising and falling, she remained steady, consistent, present. That kind of endurance is rare. By the time she passed, she wasn't just a queen, she was history itself, a living connection between the past and the present. And it all began on April 21. Now take a step back. Look at everything you just heard. A city built on ambition and blood. A battle that lasted minutes but changed everything. A man who predicted his own ending. And a woman who carried history on her shoulders for decades. Different stories, different worlds, one date, April 21. So what does this teach us? That history is not random. It is shaped by moments, by decisions, by people who choose to act when it matters most. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these stories stayed with you the most? Because every day has a story, and this one changed the world. If you want to know what happened every day in history, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.